Welcome to episode 5 of the Hit Your Target podcast. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies resilience, reinvention, and the power of self-belief. Originally from the Netherlands, Pascalle Bergmans moved to the UK in 2016, bringing with her an extraordinary set of talents. Not least, speaking 6 languages and a stellar career in the West End. Pascalle graced the stage in world-renowned musicals like Wicked, Mary Poppins, and Robin Hood. With a bachelor's in arts and a master's in musical theatre, Pascalle honed her passion for communication and storytelling from a very young age. Starting her stage career at just 4 years old, but at 22, Pascalle woke up paralysed after suffering a stroke which ended her career. Despite this, Pascalle is now a phenomenal speaker and founder of Present Tales, helping others to deliver their stories with impact and confidence. Pascalle's story is one of embracing vulnerability, defying social expectations, and shifting mindsets to achieve new heights. Today, in this episode, she shares how she transitioned from captivating audiences to empowering individuals, the importance of investing in yourself, and why ambition is something to own unapologetically. Get ready to be inspired by Pascalle's incredible journey of courage, reinvention, and success. And remember, if you enjoy this episode, please take a moment to rate the show or leave a comment. It really does help us reach more people. Let's dive in. So, hi, Pascalle, and I hope I'm saying your name right there.
You are.
Thank you. So, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on today. And you are such a shining light whenever I've seen you perform, and someone that I aspire to be on stage. Thank you again, and welcome.
No, thank you. Oh my gosh. When people do an intro, they say this sort of stuff, you're like, oh, wow. And I get all almost, I'm not uncomfortable, but just shy. That's just really sweet.
Bless you. But I think as well, what really stood out to me was when I came to your workshop and you kind of stood there and you said, I am this person on stage, but I'm not that when I'm at home.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
But I think it's really authentic to get those messages across, because sometimes, what we have to do is, you're entertaining an audience essentially.
Yeah.
And that's, it's a powerful thing. So you've had, so many successes over the last, 12, 18 months?
2 years really. It's been a 2-year wild water ride. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So tell me about that, because you've hit some huge targets. And you've shared this on public, social media as well. And I know you've come across some kind of fire for that as well. So I want you to just tell me a bit about what would you say is the biggest achievement for you in the last 2 years?
I mean, when we're talking about the biggest achievement, there's a lot of them. And I think if we look at overall, it's the confidence that came from doing this, right? Overall, that was the biggest one. I never thought that I could run a business, let alone run a business to what it is today. I just never thought that was possible for me. Just for people who don't know me, my background is in musical theatre. That's what I've done my whole life. So maths and sciencey things, it wasn't a thing in my life. I didn't learn maths until I was 24 years old. So that's how, I knew basic stuff, but actual maths, didn't learn that until I was 24, and I had to for a job that I worked in at the time after I left the musical theatre industry. So when someone said to me, you should start your own business, I just laughed in their face and I said, you're absolutely out of your mind, because I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. And I had said that to myself so much that I started to believe that. I honestly thought the only thing I'm good for is entertaining people on stage through singing and dancing and acting and all of that. Never even considered that being an entrepreneur was a thing for me. And now looking back on the last 2 years, I mean, the biggest achievement is the time freedom, the confidence to sort of go, hey, I can do this. I believe in myself. And I feel like I've got much more qualities than I thought I would ever have. So that's the gift that these last 2 years have given me. But as we were talking about in the pre-chat, I think I set myself a goal that within 5 years, I was going to have a multi-6-figure business. And we hit that goal 2 months ago, which was right before the business turned 2. So that goal was hit in a rapid time. And I just was sort of looking at, oh, what have we done in the last 12 months? And it was 201,000 and like a little bit pounds.
Amazing.
And I was like, oh my God, we did it. We did it. And I was just sort of like, this is crazy. And I just couldn't believe it. And that has been the biggest one for me. And I've been sharing that stuff online. I've been sharing online, like I'm a paid speaker. So I'm a professional speaker, which means I get paid to do keynotes and talks. And I've been sharing what I get paid for those. But I also share my monthly revenue, for example. And I do get quite a lot of fire for that because a lot of people love it. Let's make that clear. A lot of people are like celebrating and cheering me on. And it's fantastic. But I do get the occasional DM or comment from people to say, why are you sharing this? Like, why are you blowing your own horn and whatever? And all I have to say to that is, it makes me uncomfortable to talk about money. I told you that in the pre-chat as well.
Yeah.
However, I'm not sharing that to sort of go, look at me, look at how great I am. Aren't I fantastic? Now clap for me. I share that to show other people that this is possible. This is, I thought this wasn't a thing I could do. This is possible for anyone. And I would have loved to see someone my age, a woman, doing what she does best, enjoying life and making good money. That wasn't around 2 years ago. Like nobody was talking about that. So that's why I've been sharing it. But if I had to say, what is something you're really proud of? I'm proud of many things, but being able to hit that monetary goal is really big for me.
Yeah, and that is amazing. When we did talk about it, and I know you were quite nervous about actually sharing that. So thank you, for your honesty in that, because, I think there is a real vulnerability there, and particularly as women, we're kind of, institutionalized to not talk about money. Money's a dirty word, and it's breaking down some of those barriers to go, actually, and I said there's that poster behind you, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's just do this, because we need to embrace that and say we can do it, and stop putting those limiting beliefs on ourselves. So I want to ask you in that, when you kind of made that decision, and I know you've shared a bit about your story of having a stroke, which was absolutely horrific, to come from that and go, I'm going to change that belief from I'm not a business owner, I can't be a business owner. What was the mindset shift there for you? How did that come about?
I don't think it was a mindset shift. It was, I had to make a choice. So after I had a stroke, that happened 6 years ago, I became paralyzed for a while, and I knew that my career in musical theatre was over. So I had to obviously find something else. So I tried lots of different jobs and bits and bobs here and there. And then every single job I had, I hated so much. And I just felt myself slipping away. I just became more and more unhappy. So eventually in my last job, I really didn't have a good time. And the people that were around me at that time, they're luckily still with me. They know how mentally distraught I was. Like depressed is an understatement, like severely depressed. And my husband said, enough. Like he's like, I don't care if you need to quit your job, because I was making good money there as well. Well, at the time I made £50,000 a year, and I was like, yeah, that was the most amount of money I'd ever made in my life. So I didn't want to stop, because we wanted to buy a house and we had a dog and we had another dog coming, and I was like, we had this financial security. And then he said, well, nothing is worth your mental health. Right. So he basically said, quit your job. So I quit my job that afternoon, and he said, take a break. So I took 3 weeks off. We went on holiday and I just took a break. And in the back of my mind, I always had this idea, like, I want to help people to speak. That was something that I always helped people with in every organization I've ever worked in. And I was good at it, and I got lots of compliments on it. And it meant I could use what I learned in drama school again, but this time in the corporate space. And he was the one that said, why don't you become a public speaking coach? I was like, is that a thing? He's like, it could be. You can make it whatever you want it to be. So after that holiday, we came back and I typed into Google, how do you start a business? And then Google, thank God for Google, they basically laid out, like, this is this 5-step process you need to take. You go to HMRC or gov.co.uk and you company's house and you register your name. So I bought the domain Presentails, and I registered the business, and that was that. I had a business. So, and I remember sitting there like waiting. I was like, oh, I hope someone will email me. I hope one day I've got more than 2 emails in my inbox. And I was saying,
now you're
to
regretting
you,
that, but
yeah, now I'm like, oh, there's a bit too many. But that's a great thing to have, right? I love that my inbox is so full. But yeah, I just remember thinking like, okay, now I need to make something happen. So I was like, okay, I need a brand. And I started creating. I was like, oh, everything needs to be red. I don't know why, but we went with red, and it was an awful color. It was like coral red. It was terrible. It hurt your eyes when you looked at it on a page. And I thought that was very important, right, to have a brand and to look like a real organization. And then I stumbled upon LinkedIn, and I was like, you know what? All of that doesn't matter. People need to feel connected to me, because that's what it is when you do musical theater. The character itself isn't that interesting. It's how you bring that character to life. So that's when I started posting, and that's when the mindset shift happened. So this was about 4 or 5 months into having a business, me thinking, oh, I need a brand and I need a logo and I need brand colors and a tone of voice. No, don't start there. And I just started sharing what I knew about public speaking on LinkedIn. And I started seeing how other people did that. And I started getting a lot of traction, and I started to think, oh, there's people want to hear what I've got to say. And from there it just started to grow. And after about a year, we had our first sort of 6-figure year in year 1. And I was like, okay, I can actually do this. But every time I reached one of those milestones, one of those targets, that's when that belief kept growing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And I wouldn't say I'm 100% there yet. Like, I still have this fear that one day I might wake up and it was all a dream. It actually didn't happen. But yeah, this is reality, and I was capable of so much more than I ever realized. So yeah, hitting those targets really helped me to realize that.
yeah, that's amazing. And I think, it's kind of the small steps, because, I mean, you've actually taken big steps, because you've suddenly gone from, oh, I need to, to change things. But what was really interesting is the way you worded that as well. Say, I knew I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's really powerful, because so many people will say, I had no choice.
I mean, yeah. And I was lucky, right? My husband has a good job. And he said, you know what? He was so confident in me. He said, I know that you're going to make money within 6 months. I was like, you're crazy. He's like, yeah, but you are so unhappy right now. He's like, you've got a gift for public speaking. Just try it. You can always go and find another job, right? You could go waitressing if we needed an extra £1,000 a month. He's like, but we'll stay in this house for a little bit longer. And he's like, I'll take care of us. And I know a lot of people don't have that luxury. And that really helped. We had a good amount of savings, which helped as well. And yeah, I just did the damn thing. And it was choosing between another horrible job that was going to crush my soul, or this really scary thing that might crush my whole confidence, right? If this was going to fail, I don't know what I would have done. But I was like, you know what? You survived a stroke. It can't be as bad as that. And it wasn't. So yeah, I just did the damn thing. And I was like, might as well just give it a try. And I'm very glad I did.
Yeah, me too. Because it's seeing somebody else, and I was speaking to someone recently, and they said, it's about seeing somebody else and going, if they can do it, so can I.
Exactly.
Yeah. So was there anything else then, kind of in your journey, that you've kind of stepped back and gone, oh, there's another hurdle here, or there's perhaps another mindset that's come up, or some skills or behaviors that you need to develop?
Oh god, yeah. I mean, the whole road here was one big hurdle.
Yeah.
I think so. One of the things was charging. How do you charge for what you do? And I was heavily undercharging in the beginning. And I didn't feel like I had any credit that I could charge more. So it was the mindset around, what am I worth? And what do I need to make in order to make a good living? Because when you have a business, like when I tell people, yeah, I've got a multi-6-figure business, that sounds really cool. I don't make £200,000 a year. Let's make that clear. HMRC takes a lot of that money.
Yeah.
And
not even get on that one yet.
I mean, I pay myself minimum wage. So if anybody thinks I'm sitting in my white ivory tower having a great time sipping champagne for breakfast, I am really not. Because all that money goes back into the business. And so I needed to learn to see money as an investment rather than a survival tool. Because for a long time in my life, it was a survival tool. And I needed to see money as, cool, money comes in the door. What are you going to do with it? So I invested in a lot of coaching. I got a business coach. I got a LinkedIn coach. I got a brand coach. I got a marketing coach. I got another business coach. I spent, in the first year of my business, £65,000 on coaching. Now, we made £100,000 in that year. When I say we, I mean me and my husband, because he was just there along the way. So I always say we, because even though it's my business, he has been like the rock. So I made £100,000 in 12 months. £65,000 of that went to coaching and sort of straight back into the business's development or my development. Then I paid myself 12.5 grand in the first year, which is the minimum before you have to pay any tax. And the rest of that money sort of stayed within the business to use if we ever needed it, right? So that's not a lot of money that's then left. And then in year 2, I did a lot less coaching because I was like, oh, cool, I've got enough coaching now. I'm coached out. I want to just try some stuff for myself. And I started to invest more into things like video editing, photography, sort of elevating the brand. That's what I spend money on this year. Which means there's a lot more money now in the business. I started to pay myself a whole £1,000 extra.
Oh,
very exciting. And I just keep reminding myself of, why are you doing this? Like every Monday I sit down and I write an intention for that week and a reminder of why I'm following my dream. And this week I wrote down it so that my husband can start his business one day, so that my business makes enough money that I can support us and sort of return the favor. If he ever wanted to do that, because I know he doesn't, like he's got a great job and he loves it there. But if he ever thinks, you know what, I want to do something else, I want to be able to do that. The week before was because I want to pay for the renovation. We want to renovate this house. Like there's so much. You need to remind yourself constantly why you're following that dream, because it's so easy to get stuck in, oh, I need to make more money. You can always make more money, right?
Yeah.
You also need to live.
You've, I mean, that's obviously, I preach this as a coach because, I've invested so heavily in coaching myself because it's that understanding of when you're just trying to almost like penny pinch and do everything and bootstrap your business. Yes, there's an element of that, but you've got to have, the mindset behind it of the belief that you're going to get there has to be like 110%.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to self-sabotage.
Exactly, and you need to remind yourself of that passion. And I remember in the beginning, especially the first 12 months, if the business was doing well, I was doing well. If the business wasn't doing well, I wasn't doing well. So you need to create that distance from your business a little bit as well. And I know that's really hard when you are the business, right? I had no other employees in that time. I still don't have employees. I work with freelancers, but there's no way I'm going to actually have employees because
don't do it after the budget, though.
Yeah,
not a chance.
But also I just don't want to be someone's boss. Like I find that a horrible idea. So yeah, no, for me, it's definitely been this whole, okay, if the business is doing what it does, I have a certain amount of control on that. Some of it I can't control. So if the business isn't doing well, it's just not doing well. But I'm still healthy. I still have an amazing family, amazing friends. The sun is shining, like let's enjoy it. So I think one of the biggest mindset hurdles was distancing myself from the business's success and my own success. And that's been a lot better this year. So that's been a big win.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I've never actually considered it from that perspective, but yeah, it's just being able to separate because we talk about there's no such thing as failure, only feedback.
Yeah.
But we don't always apply that to personal and business because there's a real shift between the two.
There really is, and I think when people say what's been the biggest change this year that has caused, another bout of success, whatever you want to call it, it's been that. Like I've been so comfortable with who I am and what I stand for and what the business stands for that I lost a lot of that fear. Like I tried a lot of stuff out this year. We did a public speaking retreat. I hosted my first event. I launched a group program. I just felt confident to try shit out and to not fit in and to actually stand out. Like my content has been a lot more targeted. It's been a lot more in your face because that's what I stand for. That's what I do. So for me, if people say, what's been the reason for your success? In year one, it was just sort of keeping my head down and doing my thing. But what got me there wasn't going to get me here, right? So I think the change has been the confidence that I'm like, you know what, I can do this. And let's just take some risks. Because I felt confident in who I am. And if any of those things that I tried this year would have failed, I wouldn't have felt that as a personal failure. I would have just seen like, okay, well, that didn't work. Fine, move on to the next thing. So if you're in that place now, right, where you're like, okay, I've just done my first year in business, it went all right, but how do I double this next year? Let go of that perfection, let go of that, oh, I need to do it all right, and just start trying shit out. But in order to do that and to have that freedom, you need to distance yourself from the business a little bit.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. So I was going to ask you, what's kind of, if you could go back and say, when you first set out on this journey, is there anything that you would have done differently?
No.
That's brilliant.
No, I wouldn't, because you know what? I could say, yeah, this and that, be super inspiring, but I got where I wanted to be so much earlier than I wanted to. So I did something right. And I learned so much along the way. I don't think I would have done a single thing different. Even the stuff I've done badly has resulted in lessons. And I needed to learn those lessons anyway. So I might as well just learn them now rather than 5 years down the line. So no, I think the biggest thing, once I invested in something that just wasn't a fit because I didn't listen to my gut. So I've just made that commitment, like always listen to your gut. Yes, you need to think with your brain, but listen to your gut as well. It's doing its job. So no, like I honestly wouldn't do anything different because it got me where I wanted to be. It got me the life that I always wanted to live. So no.
Yeah, I love that. And I talk about something called MBIT, so multiple brain integration techniques. So that's about listening to gut brain, heart brain. It's all backed by science, but it can sound a little bit strange.
Yeah.
But it is so true, because people, exactly as you say, it's about that gut feeling and listening to, aligning ourselves with what our heart feels and what our gut feels, rather than just always being up here.
Yeah, no, because up here, your brain will try to sabotage you. That's what your brain does. Your brain is there to protect you, right? You've got your amygdala, and that brings off a hormone that is like protection. And it's great. It's great that your brain tries to protect you. But 9 times out of 10, you need to say, thank you for trying to protect me. Shut up. I'm going to go and do this other thing anyway. Because your heart and your gut are the ones that pull you towards the right direction. Your brain is the one that's like, oh, is this the right thing to do? Are we going to be hurt? Are we going to, your brain, and that's your brain's job. So it's just doing its job, but it's learning to recognize if you're laying in bed at 3 a.m. thinking about your business and everything just gets worse and worse, your brain will try to sabotage you. So just saying, hey, thanks for trying to keep me awake. Thanks for trying to protect me, but you're trying to sabotage me. And when you get that control over your brain, everything else becomes a lot easier. And I'm not sitting here saying, oh yeah, I'll always have control over my brain, I'm super chill all the time. My husband will laugh because he's like, no, she's not. But having that control, those cycles are a lot shorter now. It's a lot quicker than like, oh, wait a minute, my brain is saying that nobody's going to come to my event. Of course people are going to come to my event, So it's that relearning how to talk to yourself. That's what it is.
Yeah. Amazing. So what's your next big target then? What's your future?
So the big target is $250,000 on my own. That's the next big target. I mean, the year isn't over. You
might do it by December.
We might do it by next month. Yeah. But the next big target was 50K months, which I just signed another client this morning, which brought us to 49K this month. So the day isn't over. It would be really cool. But yeah, honestly, the next big target, I think, is more around time. I want more of my time back, and I want to see consistency within the business, because we're definitely still at a point where it's like January, Feb, it's a little bit less, and then March, April, May, it's all then summer comes. So I would like to see a bit more stability in the business, and I would like to feel more in control over the business. And I know that control is just a dream, but I would like to sort of feel like, okay, we've actually planned. There's actually a strategy for the next 6 months of, we're going to do LinkedIn lives, we're going to host masterclasses. These are the discounts we're going to offer. These are the cool events we're going to organize. I would like there to be more of a plan. So I think the next goal is less of a monetary one. It is maintaining this sort of 200, 250K a year monetary target, but we're going to have a time target now of more freedom, more clarity, more peace of mind, knowing like, okay, this is coming up, everything is prepared, rather than me going, let's do a retreat next month, and then suddenly I have to create all the materials, book the retreat, get the people signed up, because that's what this year was like. It's a lot of last minute, let's go, which has been cool, but I think we need to make sure that with this next year there's a bit more of a plan.
and it is being realistic, because for every goal that we have, there is a price that comes with it.
Exactly.
So, and that's what a lot of people don't realize, when these haters who say, oh, you're bragging about getting 6 figures. Well, no, they don't see the work and the sweat and the tears that go into that. And I know certainly from when we've had conversations, you're flying off to different things. So yeah,
literally, that's literally what it is. You're always on to the next thing, and it's important to look back. It's important to go, whoa, look at what we've done. So this year we did a lot of extra stuff. Next year we're going to do a lot fewer extra things, and just sort of enjoy that the business just bloody runs. Like, this is what I wanted. This is the job that I wanted 2 years ago. I finally get to do it. Let's bloody enjoy it for a while. You don't always have to grow to the next big target. Sometimes a target is just enjoying life, doing the job you love to do that you're good at, and just running a sustainable business. That's a beautiful goal to me. So that's the next goal.
Amazing. And thank you so much. I just want to wrap up with one final piece of advice from you to someone listening today that feels stuck or unsure about how to reach their own goals.
What would I say to someone who's like, well, number one, fuck being humble, right? We, especially as women, we love to set ourselves small goals. Like, oh, if I just do that. I don't think that works. So start thinking like, what is like the ultimate dream? Just start bloody chasing it. Just bloody do the thing. Fuck being humble. Just go after it. It's actually a book, Fuck Being Humble. Highly recommend people read that. But just go after the thing that you want to do. Don't make it smaller than you think it should be. Just do the bloody thing. Just start. Like, because when I started out, I asked so many people, how should I start? And everybody gave different advice. So I'm not going to give you advice on how to start your business or how to get unstuck. All I would say is stop asking for permission to do the really cool thing. Just bloody do it.
Yeah, I love that.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will share all your links, your social links and your website and everything in our show notes. And it's just been amazing talking to you, Pascalle. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate the show or leave a comment. It really helps us reach more people. And don't forget to share it with anyone else who could use a little motivation today. Have a fantastic day and make sure you hit your targets